Hi, and welcome to Chapter 11 Challenge Problems. Hopefully that you're getting some use out of these. When I do this, I never quite know who's going to be watching them, and hopefully they're helpful. Please let me know. Appreciate that. Okay, so Chapter 11, we're categorizing goods, and so we know that our private goods are both excludable and rival. Our public goods are non-excludable and non-rival. And the club goods tend to be rival and non-excludable. Our common resources are rival but non-excludable. Okay, on hot summer days, electricity generating capacity is sometimes stretched to the limit, seen brownouts. At these times, electric companies may ask people to voluntarily cut back on their use of electricity. On these days, electricity is what? Okay, so first of all, we ask ourselves, is this excludable? Do you have to pay for it? And so, yes, it is totally excludable because paying for electricity, right? Excludable. When it's hot, does it become rival in consumption? And the answer is yes, it becomes rival in consumption because one person's use diminishes the use for all. So the right answer here would be C. It actually turns kind of into a private good when the grid is stretched. Okay, in this problem, what we have is the OSHA has determined the probability of a worker dying from a hazardous chemical used in the production of fertilizer as 0.008. So that's a probability of a person passing. The cost of imposing the regulation on the band would be 31 million. If the value of a human life is 8 million, and yes, we can determine, and economists do assign a dollar value to life. We can argue about whether we should do that or not in philosophy, but right here, this is how we're going to solve this cost-benefit problem. Okay, so basically we have a cost of 31 million. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're trying to solve for the X, and I'm going to call X the number of people affected. Okay. And we're going to be multiplying that by the probability of a worker dying, 0.008, and we're going to multiply that by 8 million, the value of a human life. And if that number exceeds 31 million, then we'll know the value impacted. Okay, so remember that equivalencies are also like equal signs in math. So we're going to treat it that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide each side of the equation by 8 million. When I do that, I get the number of people impacted times 0.008. Hopefully it will be greater than, and I think I ended up with 3.8750. I'm going to just round that to 3.9. Okay. So I end up with an equation of the number of people impacted at a probability of 0.008 has to be greater than 3.9. I'm going to go ahead and divide each side of the equation by 0.008, 0.008, and I end up that the number of people impacted has to be somewhere around 487 or very close to that. It could be a rounding error. So let's look at our answers here. A, no, looks like B, right? B is pretty consistent with that one. So in this respect, I would say due to a rounding error, that's why I didn't get 485, 487 is pretty darn close. So this is a cost-benefit of problem. Many times my daughter's laptop blew up yesterday, actually at Texas A&M, and they had to evacuate the chemistry lab because of it. Yes, so will Dell Computers pull laptops off the market, those particular brand? And what they do is they do a cost-benefit analysis to determine, okay, how bad were people hurt? What was the inconvenience? What's the opportunity cost? And they evaluate these in these kinds of terms, which in business seems a little callous. As a parent, I think that's terribly callous, but it is exactly how we do cost-benefit analysis in business. Okay, let's move on to our next problem. Which of the following pairs of goods includes a good that is excludable and rival in consumption, as well as a good that is not excludable and not rival? So the first good that we should see here is going to be a private good because it needs to be both rival and excludable. The second good that we should see in the list is going to be a public good because it is non-excludable and non-rival. So all we have to do at this particular juncture is to look at what are the combinations of private and then public. Laptop, computer, and membership. No, that's a private. Laptop, computer, national defense. Really like that one. Congested, non-toll road, so you're not paying for it, so that's non-rival and a public good. Online music subscription, that is excludable. It is all, but it's not rival in consumption. A street light is a public good. So we're going to go with B as being the best answer in this case. Okay, a privately owned school in Fort Yaman has virtually unlimited capacity. It accepts all applicants and operates on both tuition and private donations. So that tells us there's a little excludability here in terms of the tuition, and it tells us it's non-rival. Okay. Although every resident places value on having an educated community, the school's revenues have suffered lately due to a large decline in private donations from elderly population. So then we could say, are they a free rider, right? Because the benefit that each citizen receives from having an educated community is a public good, non-rival, and non-excludable, which of the following would not be correct? So we just mentioned the free rider problem. And I would say, yep, that one is a correct statement. A tax increase to pay for education could potentially make the community better off. Yeah, it totally could. That's a true statement. The government can potentially help the market to reach the socially optimal level of education. Yes, it could do that. Is a private market the best way to supply education? No. So this is the incorrect statement that we have here. Why? Because it increases excludability. It makes it rival in consumption. So we would see the overall supply of education going down in that respect. Not the best way to supply education, a pure public good. Consider the town of Springfield with only 3 residents. The 3 residents are trying to determine how big of a public park that they should build. And here's their willingness to pay. So we have Sophia, Amber, and Cedric. And they have agreed that the cost to the park is $24 per acre. The residents are going to split it. So we're going to have a $24. We have 3 residents. So basically the cost to each resident is going to be $8. To maximize his own surplus, how many acres would Cedric like Springfield to build? Well, if the cost is 8 and his willingness to pay for even the first acre is only 6, Cedric doesn't really want a park. And if he does, he wants it substantially smaller than what they proposed. It is commonly argued that national defense is a public good. Nevertheless, the weapons used by the U.S. military are produced by private firms. We can conclude that. Okay, so this is a derived demand is what we call this. And so we would say, okay, the weapons, what is a weapon? That's going to be a private good, right? However, they're used in national defense, which is a public good. The purest of all public goods. So we conclude that resources would be more efficiently if the government produced the weapon. No, what's the government's role? And so it's not the production of weapons. And so we're going to say, no, the government shouldn't do it. Now we're going to ask ourselves the next one. Resources would be more efficiently if private firms produced national defense. No, we've seen in Russia, for example, the Warner Group, that is a private firm providing national defense. It does happen. But do they use resources more efficiently? And the answer is no, that the government tends to pay higher prices to private firms to entice them because people respond to incentives. Weapons are rivaling consumption and excludable. We just said that. Yes, they are private good. But national defense is not rivaling consumption and not excludable. Really like that answer. National defense is rivaling consumption. No, it's not. And it's non-excludable. So this is the opposite of C. So here the right answer is D. We're back to the town of Springfield with our residents. And again, they're going to pay $24 per acre. They're going to share it amongst themselves. There's 3 residents, so $8 an acre. Suppose that the cost to build a park, okay, if the residents vote to determine the size of the park, basing their decision solely on their willingness to pay in order to maximize their own surplus, what's the largest park for which most of the residents would vote yes? So what we're going to do is look at their willingness to pay, and we're going to compare it to the $8 and see if a majority of them would vote yes. So for 1 acre, Sophie says, I'll pay 10, but I only have to pay 8. So that's a yes vote. Amber's a yes vote. Cedric, as we saw in the other problem, is a no vote. Sophia, she's willing to pay 8, but no more than that. So she's a yes vote. Amber's a yes vote. Cedric is still a no vote. For the 3rd acre, Sophia's only willing to pay $6. The cost is 8. She's a no vote now. Amber's a yes vote, and Cedric is a no vote. So it looks to me like the moment that the vote will change is going to be around 3 acres. So I would say that, yes, the largest size park is not going to be 3, it's going to be 2. That's where the vote would be carried, 2 acres. Which of the following is the best example of a public good? Remember, a public good has to be non-rival, and it has to be non-excludable. So one person's use does not diminish another's, and we can't prevent people from using it. Okay, so let's see which one. I always love it when telemarketers call me right in the middle of the problem, but that's okay. Garbage collection services by a municipal government. No, you have to pay for that, right? So that is excludable. Music that is broadcast over airways on a privately owned FM station. Can we prevent anyone from using it? No. Does one person's use preclude another's? Yeah, it looks like it. I like this answer so far, the best. Electricity. Nope, that's excludable. Cable TV, excludable. So we're left with B. Okay, hopefully these questions, I think that's the end, 9 of 9. Yes, okay, that's the end of this challenge questions for chapter 11. I'll see you back in our next chapter. Thank you. And so stop recording. Stop the recording. You go over there. Ay, 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 ay.